Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I am doing sort of a pseudo library bookshelf tour. As I've mentioned, I finally got all of my books and they are all put away with the exceptions of the ones I have bought in the last 2.5 months, give or take. So while I was arranging all of my books, I took a couple of videos explaining how I'd done the arranging and sort of showing bits of the process as I went. Today, finally, I am going to cut those together and show all of you what my apartment looked like in the process of getting all of these books organized and put away. As Sophia Nygaard says, alright, so these are all the books in my living room, which, pardon the light, it's morning and I'm trying to get this done before work, but I have them all laid out in author piles basically, so that's all Margaret George. I don't have any more by Imogen Hermes Gawar, you know, that kind of stuff. We got all these books, and then when I come home tonight I'm going to categorize them into genres such as fantasy, historical fiction, children's books. So then we have these books down here. They're underneath my island. And then over here, we have more books. I have a lot of Mishner, as you can tell. Some of them, like Nevernight, I also have to be aware of another one coming soon, like September. So that could be fun. Also coming at the end of July. Then we go into my, library, and we have more books. There's my Harry Potter collection. And then we keep going this way. I have a nice little path. I actually left myself a path this time so that I can get to my bookcases that my parents brought. But we have all of these books as well. Sarah J. Maas, big pile. And that massive pile there is all my romance books, so if they end up on the floor, it's not a super big deal. Then we have all of these books. I don't really know what I'm doing with this stuff yet, but we'll figure that out. And then the books that I already have on my shelves, I have books on a bookshelf made of books, that little corner thing over there. And so they're made out of sort of coffee table books or reference books that I would like to read at some point, but I don't need to read them right now. So instead, they're serving as a bookcase, and on them, I have nonfiction books. Start with the A's up here, and go down to B's, and then they continue on that bookshelf. That's all nonfiction. And then we go up, and until about here, they're nonfiction. And then we have all of my Bibles, because I collect different Bibles. I think they're really cool. Then we start the classics right in front of my finger, or behind my finger, I guess, with Louisa May Alcott and Jane Austen. So then we go down the classics, all the way down the classics, and end up down there with La Sombra del Viento, which is by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, which I'm currently reading, but as we all know, if you don't include the books you're currently reading when you redo your bookshelves, you end up forgetting them. So I have all of that, and I still have, oh, this is hard to navigate. Oh yes, all of my Mercedes Lackey books, all that, Mercedes Lackey. So I can fill up this bookshelf, and that one over there, and then the three behind me with all of the books that are currently all over my floor. I'll let you know how it turns out. It's the end of night number 2 organizing my books, and as you can see, I've cleared out my living room. This is the result of about 3 hours work, so I'm not mad. I've organized them all by genre, so these ones are Christian fiction, and I think as far as they go, I'm gonna keep the ones that I've read and really like, and then just try being the optimal word, and binge read as many of them as I can, and probably get rid of them after that, because a lot of Christian fiction for me is something that I can read once and then I just really don't care. But there are maybe 4 or 5 in there, maybe a couple of more that I really like. And then just sort of coffee books that aren't quite big enough to be coffee books, language books, Cat in the Hat in Spanish, And then we have sort of random books, which as you can see has Crazy Rich Asians on top. These piles to the left of my fingers are adult fantasy, to the right are YA fantasy. And then we go into the library where Horrible Histories is playing. And, oh, what are they singing? Oh, good, God Compare. Then we go over here, and that's the rest of my YA fantasy. That's the amount of shelving space that I have left. So hopefully they will all fit on there. I don't want to jinx anything. I'm really scared about that. But that's what I've got. So nonfiction, like I said, the romance are still there. I'll have to deal with that at some later point. Nonfiction, and then we started with the adult historical fiction. Mercedes Lackey is still over there because that's a mess. All of the tall bookshelf are adult historical fiction, and then that bookshelf as well is adult historical fiction. It ends about here, and then we go to my Mandy mysteries, which are a children's mysteries, and we have Bailey's School Kids, and then Boxcar Children, and the Roman mysteries, and then the Royal Diaries, because I love those. So this is more, these are mysteries. Oh, that's right, because I have a whole section of mysteries that starts up there and goes down here, because they're standalone mysteries and I wanted to have an actual section. And then we go into sort of kids mysteries, Mandy, Bailey School Kids, Boxcar Children, Roman mysteries, and then I just start with my children's historical fiction and go down through there, and then we get my kids books, and these are sort of more random. And then we have YA contemporary, and then we go up to science fiction. And that's where I stopped for tonight because it's getting late and I need to go to bed. Lighting might be a little weird because the window's open and the light's on, but you know, that's nighttime in the summer in the north. Anyway, outside of that, I finished shelving all of my books, as you can tell. So, finished the middle one. That's YA fantasy up until about here. And then we start adult fantasy somewhere around, nope, 1, 2, 3, 4. We start adult fantasy on this shelf, this one, and then it goes down there. And then I ran out of shelves, so I got creative and put the rest of them on the floor, and there's some up top with Game of Thrones right there, and that's my Temeraire series, all 9 of them. And then down below here, I have some romance books because, like I said, I got creative. So, we got some language books over there, and fantasy, and my blue book because law. And then in the corner, we got some more romance, and I got rid of a whole bunch. I'll show you in a minute. And I made a little shelf, so we got some more romance over there, and then all of those fantasy books. And I ran out of room, so Brent Weeks had to go on top of Tolkien. I'm sorry. That is all of my shelves, at least in this room. Problem being, like I said, I ran out of shelves. So those are all the books I'm getting rid of. And then over here, I got a new DVD holder, so I got all those. And then I got all these books. So I got my nice pretty copies, and then I got some random books that don't really fit into any category according to me, and they're alphabetized. And then we have my Christian fiction books that take up about 3 of those shelves, and I got rid of a fair number of those. So I'm getting rid of a Twisted DVD because my mom accidentally got 3 one year. Getting rid of North or Be Eaten, fantasy, Fortress of Mist, fantasy, Emissary, fantasy. You know what I shouldn't be doing? Putting these on top of a binder. That is a dumb idea. I have the Sword, fantasy, Sir Bentley and Holbrook Court, fantasy, the Pelican Brief. This one, I somehow got 2 copies. I didn't buy either of them. I think I was given each of them, so I don't need 2 of them. Flight, I think it's fantasy. North Dakota Weddings, it's too modern. Robin Hood, Hunchback of Notre Dame, because I had 2 of those. I did buy those accidentally. Covenant with the Vampire by Jane Colodogris, and then a couple of law books. Just a couple. Predominantly because they are, well, books I'm never going to use again. The bottom one, this one, is also a Guy Fawkes book that is huge that I'm never going to read. And then we have Mary Lou Tyndall's The Blue Enchantress and the Red Siren. her Veil of Pearls, The Most Peculiar Circumstance, The Ice Cutter's Daughter. I have read this one. It wasn't particularly memorable to me. The Pelican Bride, Jeanette Oakes, Where Courage Calls. I like some for other books better, so I kept those. The Secret of Pembroke Park, Princess Ever After. I read this one. Nah. Liz Curtis Haig's Wreath of Snow. It's seasonal, so that's not going to happen, even though I do love winter. The Messenger, A Beauty So Rare. I think I read this one, but I don't remember it, so that's a good reason. The Girl in the Glass, The Bracelet, and The Creole Princess. Those are all Christian fiction books. And then as far as romance, I'm getting rid of Heart of Thunder, Midnight Masquerade, Bound, which I have not read and have no intention of reading. Whatever this says. Grace Livingston Hill. Oh, there we go. By Way of the Silverthorns is the title, as it turns out, because I just don't want to. Pearl Beyond Price. The Duke That I Marry. This is the book that I got in the airport from that lady who saw me reading Outlander, and I really don't care enough to read it. Embrace the Night. This is a vampire romance book that I enjoyed when I was younger, and now there's better ones. Vikings Captive. Passion's Chains. I keep expecting this one to be this other romance book I read, and it's not, so I don't want it anymore. Scarlet Angel. This is the one my parents... Well, I left it out on the stove, and that's how my parents found out I was reading romance novels. I was 17. The Princess and the Pea. And The Sword of Vengeance by Sylvia Thorpe. Strictly speaking, I'm not sure if this is a smutty romance. I don't think so, but you know, it says romance on it, so we're going to include it. Those are all of the books I'm unhauling. I know. Who am I, right? But that's that. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.